Well, this ought to be a fun one. Another zombie review, and I know I've said before that I may hold off on remakes because I may do a remake marathon, and I'm going to be starting a show where each episode I compare originals and remakes. But there's a fuck ton of remakes. I mean, my work's cut out for me already, so get these done while I can. And this is not a good one. And by remakes, I mean from 2003 to present. 2008's Day of the Dead. One of the worst remakes. That's not just my opinion. I mean, this movie was universally panned. I mean, it all starts with the cover. Look how shitty that cover is. And not just because it's just a zombie vomiting. I can handle that. Hell, my 28 Days Later review, I said I think it's awesome when zombies puke. But like, look at like the photoshopped elbow and ear. It's like a gross kid's book. Not that the movie deserves it, but that's a way better cover. But yeah, it doesn't deserve it. So yeah, this came out in 2008, and it was directed by Steve Miner. Now, Steve Miner, not to be confused with Stephen C. Miller, who did Automaton Transfusion and the Silent Night, Deadly Night remake. No, Steve Miner directed Friday the 13th, Part 2, Part 3. What else did he direct? He directed House, which a lot of people like, from the 80s, a movie called Warlock. Lake Placid, which isn't... No, I saw that when I was a kid. That takes place in Maine. About the giant crocodile. Halloween H2O, which is But Friday the 13th 2 and 3 are good movies. And in fact, he actually talks shit about those movies. He makes fun of them. But he made this. Now, this was 4 years after Zack Snyder's Dawn of the Dead was a big success. Now, this has nothing to do with it. So I guess in the trend of George Romero, they just decided not to pick up where that one left off or connect to it in any way, except the fact it is a virus. This even had its own sequel, Day of the Dead. I think it's called Contagion. Never saw it. There was another attempt at a remake called Bloodlines, which came out like last year. That I never saw either. This movie's just bad. I'm gonna rant on this movie bad because it is a worthless piece of shit. But for some reason, every time I've seen it 2 or 3 times. This is the first time I've seen it where I haven't been high or drinking. And back then it was like, this movie is so not Day of the Dead. It's so different that I sort of forget it's Day of the Dead, and I think it's just a crappy zombie movie. This time I still kind of felt that. So maybe it's like a so bad it's good or watchable for me. I mean, it's not as bad as Automaton Transfusion. I don't know why, it's just not. But it is, to put it this way, it has a 14% on Rotten Tomatoes, and I think it deserves it. Basically, there's this... all it has in common with Day of the Dead is that the main characters are soldiers. That's it. Couple things here and there. So there's this small backwoods town. I don't even remember where it was. All these soldiers are there. There's quarantine. There's some virus going around. And then the virus just gets out of control. People turn into zombies. And you had soldiers here. The lead, like the sergeant or whatever, is Mina Savari from the American Pie films. And I don't buy her as a high-ranking soldier. I don't. I mean, Bing Rames is in this. Bing Rames was in Dawn of the Dead. He plays Captain Rhodes in this. And no. Joe Pilato is Captain Rhodes from the 85 film. Bing Rames' Captain Rhodes is in like 3 scenes, one of which he's a zombie. Yeah, Mina Savari's brother and his girlfriend, those are like the other leads. They're here. Mina Savari and other soldiers are here. Eventually they have to meet up and survive. That's the movie. Mina Savari brings her mother to the hospital because she's sick. The hospital is the first real big breakout. And just everything about this movie is just stupid. Like, see how this zombie looks? All these, like, sores and scabs and everything? He's probably been a zombie for, like, 2 seconds. We see a guy turn into a zombie. He dies, his eyes turn white. He, like, screeches, jumps at the camera. When the camera pans around, he's all scabbed up like this. And the makeup really isn't that great. Like, some of them just look really bad. And I know they didn't have... Does it say who did the effects? They had this awful color for the font. I can't even read it. Doesn't say. I'm not surprised. But they have every star on here. But yeah. Every effect is CGI. Every single effect. Every drop of blood spilled is fucking CGI. And bad CGI. So, the brother and his girlfriend, they're at this radio station. They make it to the radio station, the local radio station. Where the DJ is... if I saw the name, I would remember it. Is he not even on here? Guess not. Because I don't remember it. He was Ace Ventura's aide. The overweight aide from the second Ace Ventura movie. He's a hippie DJ. And then Mina Savari, she's with, there's this one guy who's Bud. Not Bub, Bud. And Nick Cannon plays Salazar, which is a stupid name. He is just the black comic relief. To the point of being stereotypical. Like, that's actually a common criticism of this movie. So yeah, the hospital. Everything's going crazy. Even the zombies moving. It's like the editing, it's like sped up so it looks weird. And they climb walls. Yeah, there's a point where a zombie, he's crawling, jumps up to the ceiling, crawls a little bit, then jumps back down. It's CGI, you have like ceiling tiles fall. It looks stupid. It's not cool or scary. Like 28 Days Later, zombies running. They kicked it up a notch. It looks scary. Kicking it up a notch so they can climb walls does not make it scary, or it makes it look silly. In fact, there's another point later on where a zombie's actually climbing around like he's Jeff Goldblum from The Fly. And the script is fucking convenient. Because, okay, the DJ's outside of the radio station. Across the street, there's like a store with like automatic glass door. A zombie breaks through it with his own body. DJ goes inside. He shuts a flimsy little door that is pretty much the equivalent of like a glass patio door. Little click lock. Zombie runs into it. Little bit spider webbing. Couple zombies run into it. They can't fucking break it. But he can run through that thick glass automatic door, store door. Automatic door, store door. Yeah. And then later on, with Mina Savari, Bud, Nick Cannon and this other guy who's a doctor, but kind of a dickhead. They make it outside, and then all these zombies just start Rise of the Planet of the Apes style jumping out of the windows. Hospital windows, but they can't break through a patio glass door. Oh yeah, so Ving Rhames is Captain Rhodes. There's the part where like Mina Savari, Bud, and Salazar are climbing through the air duct because they don't want to go through the hallways. And why is every air duct in every movie squeaky clean and shiny? Well, anyway, she finds a room where Ving Rhames is. She searches him for keys. He has no legs, yet he's able to hop around, grab a hold of her, and go through the air duct. And hold on. Oh, and okay, so Bud, he gets bitten. But we find out earlier because he's riding around with Mina Savari. He's kind of a dork. They sort of have a moment. She says she never keeps her gun loaded because it's complicated. Does she ever have a character arc that explains that? No. So he's just like, well, I'm a vegetarian. Yeah. He's a vegetarian, alright. When he turns into a zombie, he doesn't eat him. He's a vegetarian zombie. Yeah. He's nice. He's a nice Zombies climbing on walls and vegetarian zombie are the two biggest complaints next to the CGI about the Day of the Dead remake. And I know, it's sort of a new spin on the Bub character. Yeah, Bub didn't eat Dr. Logan. Dr. Logan goes to put his headphones on, he grabs him, but he trusts him and he lets him go. But you know what? At least there was emotion behind Bub. You know, Romero was able to sell the idea that maybe zombies retain cognitive patterns and can be taught, you know, somehow. And she even says, because they're riding in the Humvee with him, in the back seat with him in the middle. Yeah, he's zip tied. She's like, I think they can retain some of their past. And yeah, Nick Cannon teases him because he retains following orders, like Tin Hut, and he's like, he even does like ape acting, like sometimes he's like, Christ, I've already forgotten some of the shit I was supposed to say about this. So yeah, Mina Savari, Nick Cannon, and Bud the friendly zombie. They get to the radio station. They meet up with her brother and his girlfriend. And literally it's just, yeah, a handful of zombie carnage. But it's all CGI. Not cool looking. They make it to this abandoned, run-down building out in the woods. Bud dies. Bud gets killed by the zombies. Because he shoots at one and misses. So that one gets pissed, and then they all just start eating him. They find this door. They open it. It's all fluorescent lights, pristine, squeaky clean white. That doctor guy from before. Because when they made it out to the parking lot, he left him. He made it to this car. This woman's like, help me. And he's like, I'll help you. Pushed her into zombies. And he drove off. He was part of this experiment called Wildfire. Where they created this virus that would break down a subject's like system for 6 to 7 hours. Used for warfare. So they could capture people without killing them. But it got out of hand and spread through the town. And that whole part, like Day of the Dead, the original, is no, like, its setting is unique. It's an underground bunker. It's like the end of the zombie apocalypse. What's left of humanity is, underground. And I know I'm not supposed to be comparing them because I'm going to be doing a series of videos where I do that. But literally, the last 15 minutes or so is all that's underground. The rest is above ground at night, even though it's called Day of the Dead. So her brother, and his girlfriend devised this plan where they find all these tanks where if they do this thing, they can turn them into flamethrowers. Shitty CGI flames all through the hall. CGI burning zombies, which when zombies catch on fire, they explode. They explode like cars in movies with shitty CGI. Like, when the fire goes out and there's just piles of ashes and smoke and little flames, that's all CGI. Looks like a bad video game. It just, there's nothing to this movie. I don't know what it is that gets me through it start to finish. Because the zombies look like shit. They climb walls. The vegetarian thing was stupid. Yeah, CGI. Zombies don't even look that cool. No likable characters. No character. Like, I guess, like, Nick Cannon is just so over the, just so much of a cookie cutter black comic relief. I would say Bud is the only likable one, but he doesn't get to do much till he turns into a zombie. And yeah, the CGI is just so over the top and fucking horrendous. I didn't really go much into the film itself because there's not much to it. Literally, it's just everyone's sick, they're soldiers, we're at the hospital, they're zombies, they're at a radio station, they're zombies, they meet, make it out to the woods, kill a bunch, figure out what's happened. I don't know if Steve Miner is proud of this film, but I don't know how we can make fun of Friday the 13th Part 2 and 3 and then do this. In fact, I think it was supposed to get like a theatrical release, but I think I heard or read somewhere that with test screenings it did so badly and people hated it so much that they just did it direct to video. I think if it did have a theatrical release, it was very limited. But yeah, I can't, and I don't, when obviously I think zombies should look like this, not necessarily, but have sores and be all fucked up looking. But other than the fact that maybe the virus kicks in super fast once you turn, that out of nowhere like that, you go from looking like this, he doesn't turn into a zombie, but normal like this to that in like 2 seconds. The acting is piss poor. Like, when they're at the radio station, they think someone's been infected. And he's not a good actor. He's like, if one of us is infected, we're all in danger. This movie is just a piece of shit. Terrible remake. Like, after this movie, they should have thought, most remakes we do are getting worse and worse, and this is a prime example. This is, that's all I got for it. Bad looking zombies that climb walls. One's a vegetarian, so he's friendly. And Bub from the original was a cool, unique zombie. That was something daring. You don't make zombies friendly, but Romero was able to do it and sell it with a believable idea. Here, it was just lazy. And that's the thing about this movie, ultimately, is I think it's lazy. The CGI is unforgivable completely. There's not one practical effect. When there are practical effects, like when a zombie's eating an arm, walking around, you can tell it's flimsy rubber. But yeah, horrible movie. I don't know what it is that makes it so I can watch it, but it's a piece of shit remake. Everything about it, wall to wall, is shit. But thank you for watching anyway.